What's up? I'm Ralph Alfred and I'm going to be reviewing the first generation iPad today. Does it still work 10 years later? Let's find out. So, first off, the iPad 1 is officially 10 years old and I've had it for exactly 10 years. This was a revolutionary idea back in 2010 and was one of Steve Jobs' last few innovations and was one of his best.
But we think we've got something that is. And we'd like to show it to you today for the first time. And we call it the iPad. So, that's what it looks like. Very thin. Looks just like this.
So, let's start off with the unboxing. The first thing you see as soon as you open the box is the iPad itself. And under it was a booklet which I've lost unfortunately. Under the booklet you get the adapter and cable, which looks pretty much the same as the current chargers except for the fact that the cable has a 30-pin charger USB, unlike the new ones which have 8 pins. Most of the old Apple devices use the 30-pin USB charger, like the iPad first generation and the iPhone first generation up to the 4th generation. The iPad 1 has a 9.7-inch glossy LED backlit display, unlike the new iPads which have 12.9-inch Retina display, along with 16 GB of storage and a thickness of 0.5 inches, and it weighed in around at 1.5 pounds. The iPad itself is made out of Apple's iconic duo, aluminium and glass. This iPad was officially released by Apple for $459 in 2010, which was a huge amount back then and still is. The iPad 1 was selected by the Time magazine as one of the 50 best inventions of the year 2010. The iPad first generation is not completely useless in 2020. People still use it to write notes, stream videos, and even play certain games. Okay, now I haven't used the device for the last 6 years, so it's been lying in the shelf for a really long time. So let's charge it and see whether it turns on or not. Unfortunately, it isn't turning on, it just keeps switching between a blank screen and the Apple logo. So I've kept it for charging for over an hour and we still have the same results, and so I guess it's not working anymore, but that's okay, we can still continue. As you can see, my iPad has a curved or dome shaped display because the battery has exploded, I guess, causing the middle part of the iPad to bulge more than it was designed to. When I was around 5 or 6 years old, I had dropped this device multiple times from very high places like staircases and cupboards, which have caused the sides to dent and deform. But the build quality of the iPad first generation is really good, and most new devices wouldn't withstand the torture that this iPad has been through. As you can see, the display of the iPad is somewhat detached from the case, and the rubber seals are missing, which is why the iPad feels kind of flimsy right now. Also, there are two wavy patches on my screen that I think are caused because of moisture or heat entering the display. The iPad 1 looks somewhat similar to the recent iPads, except for the bezel thickness, which have decreased in the iPad 6th generation that I have with me now. The user interface is different, but is based on the same design and is somewhat similar to the new iPads. The iPad first generation is more thicker compared to the 6th generation and is much more heavier. The iPad 1 didn't have a camera, which was a major drawback, but Apple introduced a camera in the iPad 2. The new iPads still use a home button like the iPad 1, except for the iPad Pro, which doesn't have a home button anymore. The home button has changed slightly over the past few years. The iPad 1's home button has a square print on it and is curved, whereas the new home buttons are flat, don't have the square printed on them, and are also used for fingerprint scanning. The iPad 1 has a domed or curved back, which resembles the back of an iMac, whereas the new iPads have flat case backs. Another change is the way the display screen is attached to the case. The iPad first generation had a thick rubber seal which ran around the edge of the display case, whereas the new iPads have thin or hidden seals. The next is the boxing. The iPad 6 that I have with me has a somewhat similar boxing too, with not many changes in it. One of the major drawbacks of the iPad 1 was the fact that it didn't have many upgrades. It was released with iPhone OS 3.2 and upgraded until iPhone OS 5.1.1, and the term iPhone OS was later known as iOS. This iPad was very limited and was produced only for a year, after which it was discontinued due to the release of the iPad 2. The next gen iPad 2 had way more upgrades and was capable of being upgraded for the next 6 years, unlike the iPad 1, which could only be updated for 2 years. The other thing that people assumed that it was just a larger form of the iPod Touch first generation, and by which they were wrong. It was much more than an iPod, it had more features and had a different user experience altogether. The next one was that Apple released the iPad 2 exactly 1 year later, which is way better than the iPad 1, because in a span of 1 year they upgraded the whole iPad to the next level and was such a big upgrade in such less time. But of course, the iPad 1 gets all the credit for laying the foundation of Apple iPads. iPads wouldn't be where they are now if it wasn't for the iPad 1. As far as technology goes, the iPad first generation ran really well and lasted 10 years as long as it was maintained and used very often, which is a pretty long duration for a device considering it the first of its kind. Please like the video, share it with your friends, family. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.